Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to draft this stylish overlap suit pattern. If this is a video you're interested in, please keep on watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And to my new subscribers, welcome to the family. We'll begin drafting by marking 5 inches all the way down. This is for the overlap at the front of the pattern. We'll mark 5 inches all the way down. You can do 4 inches if that's what you want, or you can do 6 inches depending on how covered you want the overlap to be. But for me, I'll be marking 5 inches. I've gone ahead to rule a straight line, and from that line I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder to bust line 9 inches, shoulder to bust point 10.5, shoulder to waist 16 inches, shoulder to hip 23 inches, and shoulder to length 28 inches. Because of how long this suit is, you can do up to 30 inches, but because my pattern paper is up to 28 inches, that's why I'll be using 28 inches for my length. So I've gone ahead now to label all my parts. So we'll start with the shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 16 inches divided by 2. That will give me 8 inches. I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement, and I'll mark as well on my bust line. I'll come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, and I'll mark 3.5 inches for my neck width. The next step is for us to mark our bust round measurement. My bust is 42 divided by 4. That will give me 10.5. I'll mark that measurement. I'll come to my armhole line. I'll mark the measurement. That will be 8 inches divided by 2. That will give me 4 inches. And I'll go in by 0.5 inches so I'll be able to cover my armhole. And the next step is for me to add my other allowances. I'll be adding 2 inches of sewing allowance. You can do 3 inches or 1.5 inches if that's what you like. I'll go to my waistline. My waist is 30 divided by 4. That will give me 9.5. I'll mark that measurement and 2 inches of sewing allowance. I'll come to my hip line and also mark my hip. 44 divided by 4. That will give me 11 inches. I'll mark that as well, and I'll add 2 inches of sewing allowance. Whatever I have on my hip, I'll mark it on my hem. So the next step is for me to connect with a straight line, just as shown in the video. I'll connect my bust line to my waist, and from my waist to my hip, and from my hip to my hem. After connecting the lines, the next step for me to do is to proceed to marking my dart. So in order for me to mark my dart, I'll go to my bust point, mark my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 8 inches divided by 2. That will give me 4 inches, plus 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. That will give me 4.5. I'll proceed to marking that measurement all the way down to my hem, from my bust point to meet my hem. And after that, I'll go in on the waistline and I'll take in dart of 0.5 on both sides. You can do 1 inch on both sides, but for this pattern I'll be doing 0.5 inches for my dart take in. So after covering my dart, you want to proceed to using this type of dart for your suit pattern. If you use this type of dart, it will come out looking really nice. Yeah, and after marking the dart, we'll proceed now to imputing the 1 inch on my waistline. So I'm replacing the dart taken on my waistline. After replacing the dart, I'll proceed now to just blend the lines to meet the bust line and my hem. If I draft it this way, I draft mine this way. This is to enable me have enough fabric to work with. At the end of the day, I can adjust my pattern as I want. As I go about sewing, I can decide to shape in my waistline at the end of the day. The next step is for us to mark our neck depth. So I'll be going by 3.5 inches as well. You can do 2.5 inches if your neck is smaller, but I'll be using 3.5 inches because I don't want it too tight. Now that 3.5 inches, I'll proceed to marking that 3.5 inches to the extension as well, and I'll just curve the neckline just as shown. This is how you want to curve the neckline in order to achieve the neckline on the thumbnail. So after marking the neckline, I'll just be adjusting the pattern just as shown in the video. The next step is for us to create our opening at the front of the overlap. So I'll proceed now on my hip line. I'll go upwards by 1.5. You can do 2 inches, you can do 3 inches, depending on how open you want your overlap to be at the hem. So right now I'll mark 1.5 upwards, and I'll just be making a dot line just to help me align where I'm going to be marking the opening. So right now from that mark, I'll be making a slant, but before that I'll go to my dart line and I'll go inwards by 2 inches. You can do 3 inches depending on how open you want that overlap to be at the hem. So I'll proceed to marking 2 inches inside my dart, and I'll mark that measurement, and I'll just slant my ruler to create that opening at the overlap. If you don't understand what I'm doing, please just watch the video. At the end, you see why we have that slant line. So after that, we are done with the front pattern. This is what you want to have at the end of the day. So right now, just you see that curve at the front of the overlap. I'll proceed to using my curve ruler to create that curve. Now you can decide to adjust the curve as you go in the pattern drafting or in your on your fabric, but for the sake of this pattern drafting, I'll proceed to curving my overlap this way. So I'll proceed to curving it this way. After curving, we'll proceed now to cutting out the pattern. On the hem, I'll go upwards by 0.5 inches and I'll connect the slant line to meet the dart intake. So that way your suit will come out really looking nice, just as it is on the thumbnail. So after that, we are done with the front pattern. I'll proceed now to cutting out my pattern. Please don't make a mistake cutting out your pattern. Watch how I cut out my pattern. Take your time in cutting out your pattern. If you're a beginner, please ensure you draft on your pattern paper before you cut on fabric. You can adjust your pattern as you go after drafting on your paper. So right now, I'll just proceed to curving out and cutting out the pattern just as shown in the video. And after cutting, we'll align it together just to see what we have at the end of the day. This is what we have at the end of the day. You can see the overlap is really looking nice. The curve came out really looking nice. And this is what you want to have at the end of the day. I'll place it the other way around so that you can see what we have and you can see the opening. Now my opening is a bit short. You can do 30 inches for your length or 35 inches for your length if you want the exact length on the thumbnail. But because my pattern paper is short, 28 inches, I'll be making use of that for now. Now for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to draft my fitting allowance of 1 inches. I've gone ahead to mark my shoulder to bust line, shoulder to bust point, shoulder to waist, and shoulder to hip. I just repeated my measurements and I curved out my armhole. So right, I went ahead to mark my nipple to nipple measurement and add 0.5 to an hour. That'll make it 4.5. I marked it from the bust point all the way down. I'll be using a basic dart for the back. You can use the normal darts. That's the dart that I used in the front pattern. You can use the exact dart for the back pattern as well. But for me, I'll be making use of a normal basic dart for the back pattern. So after that, because I'm using this type of dart, I'll proceed to my waist and I'll be going inwards by 0.5 inches. This is to avoid bulginess at the back of my suit. So right now, just add my 2 inches of sewing allowance to my bust line and I'll come to my waist, taking my measurements, taking my dart, and I'll add 2 inches of sewing allowance as well. I'll repeat the same for my hip line, taking my dart and add 2 inches of sewing allowance, and I'll repeat the same measurement for my from my hip to my hem. So after doing that, I'll connect the lines just as shown. I'll connect the lines as shown in the video. You want to go ahead and draft your pattern this way, and you want to make sure that while you're drafting, you want to ensure that your pattern comes out really looking nice. I'll go upwards by 0.5 inches as well because I took 0.5 inches for my front pattern, so I'll go upwards by 0.5 inches for the hem. So now for the back tightening and to remove bulginess, that 0.5 inches, I'll just slant it to meet my back pattern. Yes, and I'll proceed to marking it also to meet the hem. I don't know if you understand what I'm doing. Please just watch the video. You want to go ahead and do this step so that the back of your suit does not have that bulginess, and you will place your dart, your 0.5 inches at the waistline. The reason why I do this step is for you to have enough fabric to work with. I got a comment in one of my videos saying my pattern comes out shapeless. No, it doesn't. Use your measurement. When you are done drafting, you can shape it however you want. So at the end of the day, I went ahead to take my 1 inch of dart at my bust point, under my bust point. That's to tighten the bust point as well. So after doing that, we are done with the pattern. Use your measurement when drafting. When you are done drafting this way, you will have enough fabric to work with. That's why I draft my pattern like this. When you are done drafting or when you are done sewing, you can later on shape your pattern as you like. Pattern drafting is a unique, part of sewing. When you draft your pattern, you can adjust the pattern as much as you want when you are done. So right now, this is me just aligning the pattern so you can see. This is how you want your pattern to come out looking like. Now that we're done drafting the back pattern, this is what you want to have at the end of the day. I hope you're able to learn 1 or 2 things from this video. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching my videos. Until I come your way again, bye.